everyone, it's Desiree, and we are here with what I am sure is going to be a wonderful hop. So make sure you stay tuned to the end for all the details on your chance to win 2 Scrappy Tails store gift cards of $25. The products I'm going to be using is first the Scary Halloween 5-layer stencil. That is what it looks like. I'm going to change some of the colors slightly. And I even pulled into her previous Halloween collection. This here is the Halloween Essentials. I'll be using the spider webs and the bats. I'm pulling in the Perfume pop-up bottle. Yeah, having fun with that. When I saw these stencils, I just knew they had to be a background. I'll be using the #1 Friend stamp from the Designer Friends stamp set. And then I'm going to be using this Happy Halloween die sentiment, which of course can be yours when you reach a certain level that you spend in the shop, and you will get it for free, but it is also available for purchase. So let's get started on our stencil. I pulled out the my waffle flower stencil mat. I love this because you can go right into the corner and everything I know will be lined up unless I turn them the other way that I shouldn't. Whenever I use a layering stencil, I like to put a mark in the upper left hand corner because then I know that's what goes in the corner every time. I created a little mask so that I wouldn't cover up other areas that were on this stencil. I used an orange for the pumpkins, and I went with a darker one. And I'm pulling in gray for the skulls, and then it also does the background for the eyeballs. I pulled in the Lumberjack Plaid Distress ink for the nails and the blood splatters that you will see. Yes, blood splatters. What I do suggest when it comes to a stencil like this, these are kind of smaller images, and you can use, different blending brushes depending upon what's on that that stencil. Now, a lot of times these stencils here, it's all the same color, so you can get away with your larger size blending brushes. But there are some where you would need those smaller ones, like for the nails. I wanted to make sure that I used a detail blending brush to make sure that it got into those openings. It's a great job with this stencil. The openings are all these different sizes, but they are small. But in this case, this stencil here is all of the blood splatter, so I can use a larger size. So always take the time to look at your stencils to see what could be used. But I really do suggest when it comes to layering stencils, if you are a fan of those, to get your different sizes, whether it's a detailed, one size of a detailed, and then a middle, and then a large. This stencil here provides for the bats and the pumpkin faces that are around, but also pulls in the, excuse me, the tops of the pumpkin. So you just want to be mindful where they are so that you don't accidentally cover up an area with a color that you don't want. Now, if you do, it's okay. Keep going. No one's gonna notice. Nope. No one's gonna notice. Have fun with the process. Enjoy. Make a note for next time. But just have fun with that. I did use that bright green for the distress inks, and I'm using black soot for the bats and the faces, and I am going over that heavily. It's also the faces for the skulls because I want that to be really black. What would be really cool is to use your VersaFine black, and since it's still wet, to put like a glitter embossing powder on top of it. Oh yeah, that would be cool. But I knew I was going to have glitter paper on this piece as well. So while the glitter paper adds that certain glow and, believe it or not, an eeriness because of the colors that you use, I didn't want to overpower the image. So I'm just going over a couple, 2 or 3 times with the black soot. I am using still a detail brush. It's just a medium, what I'm going to call a medium size. Because again, these cuts in this stencil are small and detailed. They're absolutely perfect. So I want to make sure that I get all that ink in there to get good coverage. These clean perfectly. I just run mine over water, using hot water to clean my stencils, and the ink just rolls right off between the Positively ink that I used for the orange and the other colors that I chose for the distress. Okay, we're going to set that aside and let that dry. Let's work on our panel. We're going to be making a 5x7 card. So I'm starting out with I can't remember the name of it. I had it right in front of me and I can't find the paper. Citron, that lime green, twisted citron, I think. And these are distress oxides. I love the way they blend. They're creamy, and I'm using a piece of Bristol cardstock because I'm going to be adding water to this. The next color I came in with the Twisted Citron is Uncharted Mariner. I love that color. It is my favorite color in the line. Yes, favorite color. And Villainous Potion comes in as well, which is our next color. I have a lot of that green in the center, and then I have a thin line of this blue going around the edge, and I'm just touching the edges with Villainous Potion. It matches my hair. I am not worried about a perfect blend so much. I just want to make sure that I have a lot of the color down for when I add the water. The last blend that I will do is that green, just to smooth that out just a little. I use an everyday sprayer for my water. I spray on the water. It's kind of a lot in some people. It will coil and warp the paper, which is fine. It gets those colors moving, and you can see those beautiful jets of color. And because I'm on a scratch pad, I used a push pin to put a hole in the center of it to keep that flat. I didn't want it to move around too much. The hole will be covered up with all the details that I'm going to put on. And I'm just going to set that aside, and I let that dry naturally. I really don't like to force that dry. That drying, especially with the oxides, I want them to mix through. But towards the end, I do bring in my heat tool. I've cut the bats a couple times from black cardstock and going to do 2 layers. And there's only a couple bats that I chose. I didn't choose all of them. So I'm layering those up. I have my spider webs cut, and I'll be cutting into those, and I already created the layer for the bow using both a mirror and a glitter cardstock to get that difference in layers. Already took care of my sentiment. I used black cardstock with silver embossing powder and a piece of the lime green glitter paper in back, and then a piece of black cardstock behind that with a very small frame. I've cut the perfume bottle out of 2 layers of black cardstock, and then the 1 layer out of our stencil design that we did. I'm going to be propping up. I recut the areas of the perfume bottle. So I'm going to place the stencil layer down on top of the black cardstock layers that I have. Gives it a little more stability, and don't have to use double-sided foam squares. I recut the top in the green, lime green glitter cardstock, and then the neck of the bottle, I did that in the purple mirror so I can set the purple bow on top. Our sentiment's going to go in the center, and yes, it's going to go on an angle. And you saw a piece of purple cardstock there. I made a mistake, cut that out. And then just added the black. I set the sentiment on an angle. I have my black mat, which is 5x7, and then I have a purple cardstock mat that's cut 4 7/8 by 6 7/8. I have my card base here. It's a 5x7, and on the back, I'm adding a little bit of the Twisted Citron along the edges, making sure I'm keeping the layers together as best as I can so that I don't get any ink on the inside of the card. Amazingly, I was very successful. Yes. But it just adds a little bit of color. And yes, we are going to be decorating the back of our card. I grabbed from the Beach Essentials. That's another die that we've pulled in. That was from her previous release, Set Sail. The fence that sits in there. I die cut it from black cardstock and I folded it in half. I'm placing my 2 mats onto the front of my card, and that gate, that fence that I folded in half, is going to be the accent for the side of our card. It is going to come out because I'm going to line up the 2 lines in the center to the edge of my card. So just take notice of that if you are going to mail this. Yes, you will need a larger envelope because I like to annoy you all. If you don't want to do that, place it flush up against your card and wait until it is completely dry before you start opening up your card so that it doesn't crack and start bending weird. Here is our panel. I absolutely love it. Love the different colors. And amazingly, it's a dark panel. It really draws the eye in. And when I put the perfume bottle on top, it kind of got lost. So to push this panel back, you can do 2 things. One, you could have used a piece of vellum paper, vellum cardstock, cut it just a little bit larger than your perfume bottle, set that down. I didn't want to do that. So what I did was, a blizzard came in on Halloween. Yes. And I used white splatter. Because I did that, it broke up that darkness and just made that background a little bit lighter. Because I used all of that water on this panel, I am going to use my 2-inch double-sided film tape by Uline. This is a wonderful tape. It's unforgiving. If you see my videos, I say this every time. It's very strong, but it will flatten this panel out completely. Don't have to worry about anything. This will flatten this panel right out. I have the gate that I folded connected to the back. I've placed my panel with the tape. I rolled it down onto it, and you can see it is flat. I'm adding my glue to the gate, and I will fold this over to the front of my card. And I'm going to put an acrylic block on top of that to let that set. With all those mats and everything else, it wanted to, excuse me, pull off. To make the bottle stand out even more, I added a little bit of black soot just to the edge. It didn't get too crazy, but did just add a little bit to the edge to make it like a dark line. It's almost like it's outlined or framed. Looking at my placement, I'm playing around with some of the spider webs. I'm going to use the one that's already at a 90-degree angle, and I'm going to put that in the upper right-hand corner of my panel onto the panel that I blended. Now you could take it out to the edge if you wanted to. I'm going to also use one of the bats, and we're going to place that towards the upper left. And then, yes, our perfume bottle is going to sit on an angle, but towards the bottom. It kind of helps it to ground it so that it's kind of not floating there. You could also use that gate or any other border die that you have and put that in background along the bottom. And that would help make it grounded as well. For the back, that's where we're going to put our main sentiment, Happy Halloween, and we're going to put that towards the bottom right-hand corner. Excuse me. And then we're going to add our last two bats, just coming up off of the sentiment. I'm going to grab that last spider web, and we're going to cut that. So we're going to make a couple cuts, one for the bottom left and one for the top left. And that's just following the lines that are already within the spider web. So I'm going to put the smaller one down, and this time I am going to the edge of the card base. We're going to make another cut. This one's going to be just slightly larger. And place that in the upper left. I'm going to pull in my paper creaser and just bend along that edge that's sticking over the card so that the card will open flat. Now again, you can push that right up to the edge, but when you do that, you want to make sure that it's dry before you start opening. And here is our card. We dug into our stash. We used previous dies that we have there and changed them. Just change the color to give that spooky and eerie look for the side. We have used the back of our card for our design. I added some gems that come from the kit, which you will see. So wait till you see what I'm doing with that. And just had a great time with the old and the new coming in to make a 5x7 Halloween card. As always, I do hope you enjoyed it. The products that I used will be listed down below. And if you have any questions, make sure you leave those down below as well. Now, for the great news. First, I cannot wait to see all of the projects that you create with Sabrina's new collection release, Halloween Party, both on the creepy and the cute side. But know that Scrappy Tails is giving away 2 $25 store gift cards. What a deal. You'll be tough to make a choice. All you have to do is comment on the post and all the other posts in Instagram for your chance to win one of those $25 gift cards. And you want to do that by August 25th. The winner will be announced on August 26th. So good luck. Again, can't wait to see what is created with this wonderful collection. Subscribe. Hit that thumbs up. Make sure you ring the bell so that you know the next video is ready. Remember, just enjoy the process. Enjoy creating your art. And always what is best. Always be creative. And I will talk to you in the next one, guys. Till then.